Welcome to the Speed League podcast from Southern California. I'm Kelly Hansen. The website is speedleaguefantasy.com. It's a totally unique, awesome fantasy supercross game. You join with your friends, have a good time. We play all the time. We're not making a ton of money off this, just supercross fans that wanted to create this game and put it out for everybody to play. So go check it out at speedleaguefantasy.com. I'm here as always with the man, the myth, and the legend, Ryan Berkman. And I hope you're sitting down. Eli Tomac is pretty fast.
We got exactly what we wanted. I mean, there was so much talk online in our comment section about, oh man, how could Jett Lawrence still be ranked first? Tomac is way faster. I mean, I personally still thought Jett was the man. I mean, just from last season, from outdoors, from everything, he was the man. And I wasn't ready to give up that number one spot yet, but we literally got Jett and Tomac head to head for 3/4 of the race to see who is the king of the castle, and Tomac reigned superior. And actually, I'm glad that he did, because I mean, me and you kind of are a little more old school Supercross fans now. We aren't some 19, 20-year olds. So seeing the old man, if you will, he's or same age, just stick it to Jett. It was actually pretty cool to see.
Yeah. And I mean, I think everyone wanted to see. I mean, I'm sure there's people that are just huge Jett fans, but I mean, everyone wanted to see him not just run away with another championship and it actually to be competitive. And yeah, I mean, I was palm sweaty nervous that entire main event because I mean, they were battling the entire main event and it wasn't for the lead the whole time. I mean, they were back in fifth, sixth, something like that before. And I think they actually went back and forth a few times before the cameras even found them. Right when Tomac made that crazy pass right around the outside in the sand section, just full on beast mode. But yeah, they were battling the entire main event.
And really, there was a part of me that was thinking, okay, Jett's just going to reel him in. Jett's just biding his time, waiting for Tomac to make a little mistake or just waiting for that time to pounce. Jett's being patient. But it wasn't that at all. Just Jett did not have the speed to get past Lawrence. I mean, get past Tomac. I mean, I don't think we've ever seen Jett behind someone and just not able to push to catch them. It was actually so I know that me and you were talking about this too, is so then did Jett get slower, which I don't think he did, or did Tomac get faster, which seems a little counterintuitive, him getting older, him in his last season of Supercross, or is it just, I mean, that Yamaha is just on the gas, or why do you think Jett couldn't pass Tomac this time?
Well, I mean, let's first just make it clear: Jett is not going slow.
Oh,
I mean, they both moved past. I mean, left Webb behind, who was doing really good that day. Even though it sounds like at the end he said, among a lot of other people, that he was dealing with some illness. But I mean, they were both flying, and Jett was closing in on Tomac. Tomac would pull out, and just kind of. But yeah, not enough to fully make the move. But yeah, I think it's a little bit of combination of both. I mean, clearly, I mean, this has come out publicly now that there's some issues with that new Honda that they're working their way through. Both of the Lawrence brothers having a little bit of problems getting bike set up and everything dialed just the way they want it on the new Honda. But also, Tomac is really 100% for the first time that we've seen him in a while, and it is showing big time. I mean, it's a bummer that we couldn't see him fully deliver at Anaheim 1, but he had the speed there that whole day, just had that one little mistake. But yeah, we really saw it in San Diego.
And Tomac has been known to be kind of a slowish starter towards the season. I mean, there was a couple seasons ago where he said he was dealing with some arm pump, and then another season he was recovering from injury, and he always just kind of started slow. But I think that now that, it's probably a 90%, and this is going to be his last season, that it's almost just lighting a deep fire inside that he knows, okay, no more pussyfooting around. This is the last hurrah. And he really wants and really believes that he is going to win this championship and then retire on top. And it's going to be really, really cool to see if he could pull that off.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if that's actually what's going to happen because, I mean, the talk has been for the last several years that, he just wants to win the championship and walk away after that. But I hear a lot of talk that, like, oh man, if he's still going this fast and really seems like he's enjoying it and all that, that he just keeps going. I mean, I'd love to see it, but, we see plenty of guys in Supercross get absolutely burned out and then retire while they're on top. But I don't know. But I mean, look, Tomac. I mean, where do you rank him now? I mean, one thing is, where do you rank him? Do you rank him higher than Jett? That's a difficult thing to say because, again, we're still so early in the season, and I think Jett's going to figure out the bike and all that. But then, I mean, that aside, in Speed League, if you've got Tomac, and I know you don't because I do, where do you predict him?
So as far as the week to week Speed League rankings that we put out on our Instagram, I can't help but put Tomac one. I mean, it's like, yes, if I had to do a season long ranking, someone had a gun to my head and said, okay, who is going to win the championship? I would still say Jett Lawrence. I think that he's going to figure it out. It's a long season and he's a little more spry. But next week, A2, I have to put Tomac number one. I mean, really, there was no other option. After seeing what I saw, I mean, I can't do any different.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm picking Tomac for my podium prediction for next week. A pretty obvious one, but I mean, he's on my team. I've got him predicted at a 2. I'm not quite ready to just go with the one prediction. He's definitely going to win, sort of all or nothing. I like to hedge my bet a little bit and get some extra prediction points if he just manages to pull off a podium or something like that. But I mean, as long as he doesn't have something catastrophic happen, he seems like he just has ferocious speed and is not going to end up off the podium.
Yeah, for sure. And you have Tomac, I have Jett.
Yeah.
And week one, I had Jett predicted first. That's a pretty rare thing to do. It's like you need to be a top guy to not even fuck around with second, just predicted 1, 0 wiggle room. But I did that because I believed he was that guy. And then obviously A1 didn't turn out how he wanted. So I actually dropped him to the second prediction spot last week, and it paid off, got a dead on. So I think that you doing Tomac 2 makes sense. And I think that I'm going to stick with Jett 2 this week as well. That just makes the most sense right now for these guys battling head to head. Week to week, someone doesn't have the full edge, so it's hard to tell. So yeah, second's the best spot.
Yeah. But I mean, so stoked to see that. I mean, all signs pointing to we are going to have a super competitive championship, which is awesome. And I mean, I just hope some other people can get mixed up in it too. The the 2 races that we've had so far are sort of main competitors. At least one of them has had a problem in both races, and this time it was Sexton.
Yeah, and he was actually my podium lock for this week, and obviously that didn't end up being true. I mean, him and Plessinger got into a little fender bender there early in the race, but I still think that Sexton has the speed. And I mean, yes, he didn't show it, wasn't able to go, head to head with Tomac and Jett, which it would have been so magical if it was Tomac, Jett, Sexton with just open track ahead of him. That would have been the best thing ever. But I do think that you can't sleep on Sexton. And a lot of people have recency bias when it comes to this sport. I mean, they always say, "Oh man, Sexton, he finished 6. How can you put him number 3 in the rankings?" But I mean, you got to think of it as a whole. And Sexton coming off of a win, it is hard to count him out. And yes, Tomac and Jett both crashed in that race, but still, I mean, he is gonna be up there. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he got on the podium, maybe a first, second, or third this week. I feel everything's in the cards for Sexton.
Yeah, and I mean, he still did show his speed. I mean, he had, I mean, almost as impressive a recovery ride as Tomac did at A1. I mean, he finished in sixth after just being, on the ground and then dead last on the first lap. Did you see the video too I mean, they didn't show it on the broadcast, I don't think, but there was video of on that first lap right before he went down, he like had to roll the triple and Ferrandis almost landed on his head.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
Oh my gosh. I might have sent it to you on Instagram or something. There was like just I think one of those from the stands clips of it. But yeah, it was he missed the triple and then came off and like Ferrandis had to like land down the side of the triple landing and go off the track over the tough blocks to miss
wow.
Sexton. It was pretty gnarly. So no, Sexton actually in his post-race interview, someone was asking him about it and he said, I'm an idiot. He was just like, yeah, first lap, like rolled the triple, almost got landed on, and then just ends up tipping it over on the ground. And just after the perfect Anaheim one, just gets himself in a little bit of a rut. But no, he still rode his ass off.
For sure. And so actually, I mean, there's been a lot of talk on like Supercross for the like NXT bet, next bet, Supercross, the next big thing. So the sponsor of like today's video is NXT bet. That'll be the day. But so I actually went on, was like thinking, okay, what's like going on with this? And like we live in like California, so it's like a lot of betting isn't legalized. So I was curious, how far they would let me go on just betting on races. And like they don't allow me just to bet for the winner, or like second place. Cause I saw that Sexton was like plus 700 to win. So I was going to put like $10 on like Sexton, try to come up $70, but it doesn't allow you to do that. You could just pick if like you think the like racer will score higher or lower than like where they like have them predicted. So it's like one of my like bets that I placed, was I mean Hunter Lawrence was like sick all day, almost didn't race, had the flu, whatever. So I picked him finishing lower than sixth. And then when Plessinger, struggling a little bit, obviously not like finishing where he like wants to. So I predicted him lower than seventh, trying to come up and like make a quick buck. And then out of nowhere, I mean, when Hunter Lawrence overperforming with the flu came in fifth. So I lost my first ever NXT bet, but I mean, maybe I could do better next week. But
and I think Hunter basically held off Sexton at the line to get that fifth, right?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, yeah, a weirdly impressive, race from Hunter after he wasn't supposed to do well and possibly not even race. But yeah, there were some weird finishes that happened too. And it turns out like a fair amount of them, the guys said afterwards that it was due to illness. I mean, I have Anderson on my team, really good A1. And then he was riding around in like sixth or seventh. And then all of a sudden was, back in the teens somewhere and finished down there. And then, I mean, a day or two later, it comes out he was sick. Webb said he was sick. Plessinger pulled out of the race, which apparently is because of illness too. So, I mean, yeah, sickness was going around in San Diego, apparently.
Yeah, it's going around in San Diego and also at my house because my daughter projectile vomited off the top bunk of her bed all over the floor last night. So that was a lot of fun having to clean that up in the wee hours of the night. But yeah, it's definitely going around. Colds, flus, 'tis the season. But like something else that I want to talk about before we get too deep into the podcast, because I feel like this is something people want to hear about, is the whole Joe Shimoda debacle of him taking a pit board sign to the hand and then breaking two fingers and getting completely fucked up. And I mean, I have a few words to say about that, Kelly. First of all,
yeah, no. So I know you're the conspiracy theory guy. So I mean, I'm kind of curious actually where this is going to go. Is like, was it Osama bin Laden from the grave with the pit board that got Joe Shimoda?
So I actually did a deep dive on this, and like a lot of people are like talking, saying, "Oh my gosh, who was it? Deegan's pit guy. It was this. It was that." I slowed it down to in 1 frame per second, and I zoomed in. I can't tell whose pit board it was, but like, I am 99.9% sure it was a Yamaha pit board. So, I mean, who that may be, I have no idea, but that is completely ridiculous. And I think that like they should do a investigation and find out whose pit man that was, and I mean give them a penalty of some kind, because yes, it was like probably an accident for sure. I don't think people are going there trying to smack people with signs, but the fact that a championship contender coming off a first place finish can get injured by someone else's team just doesn't even make sense, and should be totally eliminated from the sport. Because but now that I'm like watching them go by this like the pit board guys, they even hold the signs and move them at the last second, hold the signs, slashing them. I mean, okay, if Hayden Deegan took even Honda pit board to the hand, there would be so much outrage and
Controversy. Yeah.
controversy and oh my gosh, this is bullshit. We're doing blah. But it is like Joe Shimoda, who's like kind of quiet, and he's
Yeah.
like a foreigner. So like he doesn't want to step on anyone's toes. Dude, if like it was Hayden Deegan, the world would be coming to an end. And I feel like I have to stand up for like Joe, and like you need to stand up for Joe and say, no, dude, this is complete bullshit. We need to find out who did this and make sure that it never happens again.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no thinking that this was an intentional thing. This was just some stupid, gross negligence. But it is some really stupid, gross negligence, and you have to imagine. I mean, the mechanics when they're sitting by the side of the track there. I mean, you kind of have one job, and it's to show your guy the pit board and not hit anyone with the pit board. But it's one of those. It's just one of those crazy things that happens has been happening recently in like Supercross, and it's very reminiscent to me of like last year when Webb ran into the 32nd board girl on the first lap. It's just like you couldn't write something like this to happen. And poor Joe, after the underdog A1 win, coming in with a red plate, and like you saw the picture that he posted after the race of
It
his
was
hand.
bad.
His hand looked gnarly. I mean, there's a giant indent, right here on his pinky where you can tell the edge of that pit board just smashed into it, and it broke both his fingers, right?
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, he like still rode, and did like an all right, a like seventh. But I mean, those injuries don't get better in a week. They actually probably get worse. And I mean, I would be surprised if like he even rode this week, and like maybe he's even thinking about riding. I don't think that he's going to finish as good as he did last week, because everything just swells and there's inflammation and it just bruises more. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be racing this week, and it is just a horrible, horrible thing to happen to him.
That sucks. It sucks for Joe. But on the flip side of luck here, we have Julian Beaumer, who your boy drafted onto his team, and he's like the new guy. I mean, a sick, sick ride for like Julian Beaumer, and a well-earned first win that I don't think anyone thought was going to come this quickly.
No, I know. And especially, I mean, last week to be like the number one overall qualifier and then come out and then get second, it was like, okay, like, is he for real? Because like sometimes, people come out and they like overperform the first race, and you think, okay, this isn't going to stick. He got lucky. It was just like the situation he was in. Deegan crashed or something like that. But he is so fast. He looks so fast, and like you wouldn't think that like this guy was someone no one really expected, because like seeing him on the track, he moves, he rides, he has even body positioning
Mm-hmm.
of a guy that is a top dog. He looks the part, and I'm just really, really impressed with like how he's looked so far.
Yeah, so I mean, I started him at A1 with a fifth place prediction. I mean, after going fastest in qualifying, then moved him up to third place prediction for this week, and he won. I mean, he's gone 2-1 now. I have to put him at least a second place prediction at this point. And, we've obviously still got Deegan, who the expectation is that he hasn't shown his full hand yet and has kind of just had some bad luck and needed to work through a few things. But, yeah, Deegan's having some issues. And, especially in this coast where a lot of the main competitors that were supposed to be racing west ended up, for whatever reason, moving to east. I mean, Austin Faulkner moved to east. Levi Kitchen moved to east. Some people that were really supposed to be Deegan's, main rivals in this. There was an expectation that Deegan was going to run away with this thing, and that is not panning out. I mean, he had a weird night. That heat race thing where he was trying to, track down the other 2-star Yamahas that were in front of him and flew off the track in the whoops and almost went head on with Cole Davies leading the race was like a sketchy, sketchy moment for Deegan.
And it's like he is so fast. I mean, like in the heat, he was like a second faster than everyone trying to catch up. But like in the main, he just kind of followed them around. And I was looking at these splits because I like have like Deegan on my team, and I actually predicted him first this week. Thinking he was going to figure it out, and he just wasn't catching these guys. I mean, I'm like, I don't know if like he was maybe a little sick too, or like what the heck was going on, but he just didn't have the speed in the main, and it was like really confusing. But with that being said, Deegan is my podium lock this week going into A2. I mean, freaking first race of the season, he like had a little issue, obviously, came back, finished fifth. This week wasn't on the 11 top of his game, but I think that the like rubber is going to need to meet the road, and like he knows that like he is one of the premier guys. He gets introduced with the 450 guys during like the opening ceremonies. He is going to figure it out, and like I actually have my money on like Deegan winning A2, but like definitely podium lock. It is time.
Okay, where do you predict him for next week on your team?
So I'm I'm gonna move it down to second just to kind of hedge my bets. Bomera's been looking so good, so I'm gonna go with second, but I would not be the least bit surprised if he won.
Okay, no, that's fair. But he's got a sneaky little teammate in Cole Davies that, I mean, won that heat race and had an awesome main event too. I mean, that kid is a real sleeper rookie sensation.
Yeah, so I actually picked him up on my team this week. I actually ended up dropping Michael Mosiman, which he's a decent guy. I mean, really, this like year hasn't started how like Mosiman would have liked. So I said, you know what? There's a new kid in town. There's a rookie in town, Cole Davies, and I swooped him up. He got the heat win, which is crazy. And then in the main, finished fourth. So it's like
He's a
seeing.
sick starter. He's a
Yes.
really good starter, which, I mean, as we all know, is just pivotal in Supercross. But I mean, he's already up at the front, battling with the fast guys, learning from the fast guys, and has enough speed that he's not really just getting left behind. And yeah, how cool is it? I mean, he passed Ryder D to like finish fifth, like right at the line
Yeah.
in that main event. So yeah, Cole Davies is the man.
So the question is, where do I predict Cole Davies this week? I mean, I think that last week he like might have overperformed a little bit. Hopefully not, but I mean, for heat win and then fourth in the main, I don't think that he's going to be doing that every week. So we got eighth, Anaheim won, fourth last week. I'm going to probably predict him around the sixth or seventh mark. Is that too low for a guy like Coley D?
I think seventh definitely is. I don't know. It's hard to say because there's some other people that, if Joe Shimoda gets back up to full health, I expect him to be finishing in front of him. Someone like Ryder D. Francesco, Davies got him at the line on this one for, fourth place rather than fifth. But even Garrett Marchbanks, won the other heat and finished 8th in this one. Kind of an unimpressive main event, but Marchbanks is fast, and I would expect him to be doing better also. So 6th range, I would probably like if I was picking Cole Davies, but he has a high ceiling.
For sure. And I'm excited to see how this season's going to go. If he could like really kind of stay like consistent and keep on finishing up there and try to win me some games, because I am 0-2. I'm the only team in our league that is 0-2, but I have more points than second and third. So it's not like my team sucks. I just got a little unlucky the first 2 weeks. Ready to turn this puppy around this week.
So speaking of high ceilings, how about that quad?
Yeah. So I actually saw on so on Instagram prior to the race, some of the guys were like doing it, and Jett screwed it up a few times. Actually, Cody Schock was the first person to like start drilling it. But yeah, I love when there's a quad line on the tracks. Like, it just makes everything, so much more exciting. And looking for the quad, and like people kind of chicken out and don't hit it and then lose so much time, so they're almost forced to next lap. And it's like really cool to see the like decision making that they have to make each lap.
And I mean, you see a lot of the times, they'll do it on like a press day or in practice or something like that. And then the track makers go like, holy shit, this is too dangerous. We got to like cut this down or change something up so they can't really do it. But they let it happen this time. And I mean, almost everybody was hitting that. I mean, even in the 250 class. Although ironically, the interesting thing is Beaumaire didn't quad that for at least most of the main event. I mean, most of the times that I saw him go through there, I mean, I think he just sort of decided that he had enough room and it was too much of a risk and was just going, I think the 2-3-3 through that section, which was reasonably fast. But yeah, I mean, 450 class, it was like every guy, if you don't hit that, you're just getting eaten alive.
Yeah, and it was like Beaumaire didn't need to like risk it. No use taking unnecessary risks if you don't have to. But
okay, the one other thing that I had here that I wanted to discuss was Vince Friese.
Had some drama.
Dude, I mean, Tomac and Jett are coming through the pack. Friese's in what, 15th place, something like that. He got at least 2 blue flags, may have been 3 blue flags. I was watching him too. I was like, dude, that's Vince Friese up there. I mean, we know what Vince Friese's deal with. He didn't even look back. He didn't even look to see like how close anyone was behind him. Just stayed right on the main line, completely ignored all the blue flags. I mean, battle of the century is happening right behind him, and he's strolling along in 15th place. And then when Tomac finally gets a line on him through that rhythm section to the inside, I don't know if Friese cross ruts or is just going for an inside line and like almost takes away Tomac's line and completely blocks him. I know this is just old news now, but like, what is Vince Friese's deal?
Friese got the whole shot, Kelly, so he earned the spot to like fuck with the like leaders. You get a whole shot in the main, you can do whatever you want for the rest of the race. No, but
it's just and there was a little clip of like Tomac and Jett like walking off after the race, like walking off, and you can kind of hear him talking some shit on Friese, like what the hell was he doing? But look, he's the most hated rider in Supercross, and you can see why.
He like messed with Tomac and Jett too. It's like he like slowed both of them down. And it seems to me that okay, so I know that I've been calling for, man, find out who the pit board guy was and penalize him and penalize Vince Friese. And like I'm not some get off my lawn guy, but it's like when Vince Friese has the reputation of being a complete asshole and he does asshole things on the track, almost ruins Tomac's race, almost ruins Jett's race, there needs to be some action taken, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, am I crazy for like thinking that something needs to be done? But it's hard with like someone like Vince because he is not a championship contender. And like, what's 1 point, 5 points, 6 points to Vince doesn't even fucking matter because he's like one of, you know, but it just seems to me that something needs to be said, something needs to be done so he gets the fuck out of the way.
I mean, we obviously just need Weston Pike back. We need Weston Pike to come and lay a smacked. I mean, just, he ignores a blue flag, slows down a leader or something like that. And then you just have Weston Pike with like a barbell in the flag stand at the finish line jump. And when Friese comes by, he just clotheslines him.
Seriously.
That's the only solution that I can see here. Because I mean, he's obviously not going to get penalized for anything on this one because through nothing but circumstance, he didn't actually end up causing a problem and interfering with the leading battle, but it was just by chance. He totally could have.
Because it's just a matter of time. I mean, literally, like, he is going to get lapped every single race this year. For 17 races, he like will get lapped, and it's just a matter of time before he ruins someone's race and like ruins someone's championship, and they're gonna pull off the track and they're gonna yell at him, and it's gonna be, oh my gosh, look at Tomac yelling at Friese, and this is gonna be the same old shit. Like, that shouldn't fly when you're ignoring flaggers and like they're literally waving it right in your face, a big blue flag, and you just kind of block out your like peripherals. I mean, that's just like, I mean it's like not good for like racing, and it's not good for the sport, and it really pisses me off, actually. It really does.
For real. Okay. I think last thing, we got to give some deep picks for some people that might need some predictions a little bit further down for the next race. I'm going to throw out Plessinger there. Plessinger didn't have a great A1, and then obviously San Diego was a disaster because he just had to pull off the track and had some illness. Assuming he recovers from that all this week and comes back strong, it's hard to say really where he's going to finish. I think this is actually a difficult prediction to make. And he had some great finishes last year, and if he gets a start or something, he still could. But I think you kind of got to be timid and a little bit conservative with your prediction. I'll go with an 8th for Plessinger for this next race. And the really tough thing too is a lot of times I say, hey, watch qualifying and sort of see how they're going to do. But Plessinger never does good in qualifying, and I mean he'll do 17th place in qualifying and end up on the podium. So you can't really rely on that.
Yeah, so I have Plessinger, so I have been, kind of like a nightmare start to the season. And I mean, it's like, okay, I like predicted him 7th, and I'm an NXT bets had him, better or worse than 7th. RM Fantasy, I mean, most people had him at 7th. I saw. I mean, he should be getting 7th or better. He should be, but that is just not what we've seen. And like, I'm like literally thinking about 8th or 9th with him. I mean, until he shows me that like he has, top 7, top 6 speed, I just don't even see it this year. There are so many fast guys. I mean, freaking Roxton's been kicking ass. I just don't see him like battling with the big boys yet, but I hope that he proves me wrong. Speaking of someone like hasn't really been battling with the big boys, who I thought would like have a pretty decent year, is Justin Cooper. He's my actually deep pick. He had an 11th place finish in San Diego, and that dropped him down to actually 11th in point or Speed League fantasy points, behind Malcolm Stewart, behind Prado. And I mean, he is fast, and I think that he's going to turn it around to where he like won't be 11th place behind Malcolm and Levin Prado next week. I would say that probably predict him around where we're saying Plessinger, around that like 7th or 8th spot. I think that he's going to turn it around and like have a pretty good race next week or this week.
Yeah, I actually didn't even see anything of Justin Cooper with all the chaos that was happening in this race, but he's usually a great starter, and I'd be willing to bet he either didn't get a great start, or if he did, had just some weird quirky thing happen. But I would definitely expect him to be in the top 10 every race. Okay. We got anything else? I'm stoked for, we're coming back to Anaheim for this weekend. Should be an awesome race.
Should be. And in our league, Kelly is 2-0, undefeated. He has a stacked team. I mean, he like blew out both people that he played so far. But it's a long season. Supercross is chaotic, and anything could happen. So we will see where that takes
I just got to
us.
do John this weekend, and then I've beaten everyone in the league, and I can come back around for seconds. So that's the plan, is to knock it out. He's got Webb and Roxon on his team. And then Joe Shimoda. Oh, man, now I'm hoping Joe Shimoda doesn't recover this week. But yeah,
Take
we'll
a
see what
week off,
happens.
Joe.
Take a week off, Joe. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Good luck, guys.